to another podcast episode of Haystack Nation. I'm your host, Jesse C.S. Here with Vanessa C.S.
Hi.
Hi, Vanessa. How are you?
Good.
All right. It's been a while since we've done a podcast. I think the last one we did was probably back in May, June. So shake the rust off.
No. Well, maybe.
Maybe it was about graduation time. I think the last one we did was about graduation.
Oh, yeah, you might be right because we were talking to the kids about starting
School and...
Yeah, that's right.
It's been a while.
It has been.
So shake the rust off. We're about to have an exciting show. Just want to remind everyone to follow us on Facebook, find us on Instagram, and, listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Amazon Music, and Spotify, Podbean. Check us out. Share us with someone else, too. I always like to have new listeners. And if you want to reach out to us, you can reach out to us even on email at haystacknation@gmail.com. If you want to drop us a line, maybe you have a question for us. Maybe you have a joke to tell, as long as it's appropriate.
Or maybe you have something you would like us to discuss.
Maybe, or maybe a testimony, a story. Something happened to you. Drop us a line you'd like to share with other people.
It has been a while.
Well, yeah, it's been a while, so we're glad to be back. You know, we've been really busy with life and kids starting school, and just a lot of things have been going on. And, we would love to do this full-time all the time. But unfortunately, that's not an option. So we do it when we can, when life settles down a little bit. Would you like to do this full-time? No, I want to keep it for fun, as a hobby.
I think this is more of your thing that
You just kind of
support.
Yes. You tolerate. I think the word you're looking for is tolerate.
Support, because I'm a very supportive wife.
Very tolerant wife. All right, so what's your favorite season? Do you have a favorite season?
Yeah, I love fall. I love
That's
fall
your favorite?
and winter.
Is that really your favorite season?
Yes.
I don't care much for winter, but I do agree with you. I love fall and I love spring.
Spring is pretty, but I think this is going to be funny, but I like fall because I just love all the color changes. Mm-hmm. But I love all
I know what you're going to say.
What?
All the different kind of clothes you get to wear.
Yes.
Yeah, it is fun. It is fun. You get to wear your sweaters, your long sleeves.
Boots.
Yeah. Well, that's more
jackets.
Winter. Right. Yeah. I do enjoy that as well. You feel cozier.
Actually, yeah. You can wear your hair down and not sweat to death and still look cute.
There's something cozy about autumn, which is different from spring. Spring is just about, thawing out.
Yeah. It's pretty.
I like spring because it's like you've been cold, and you just like long for that kind of warmer temperature. You're just like, I'm just ready for something.
And it's pretty.
Nicer.
Everything outside, like all the trees, the flowers are blooming at that time. It's pretty. And then same thing with fall, like the different color, like leaves, the orange, the brown, just like.
I do like fall because everything just seems more colorful. In the spring, everything comes back to life, which is really nice and pretty, especially after you have had like bare trees and dead grass and everything. But the life that you see in spring is really beautiful. But in fall, just the array of colors is really nice. Mm-hmm. Here's some other things, Vanessa, that you should enjoy about fall, because fall should be an enjoyable time of year. And since we're about ready to head into fall season, at least here.
One more thing.
What?
Pumpkin.
Of course. Well,
anything pumpkin.
Yeah, pumpkin is all over the place in fall.
Well, you have pumpkin desserts, pumpkin drinks.
Pumpkin patches.
Pumpkin patches. Those are fun when you have kids.
Yeah. Kids love those. Mm-hmm. It's really cute to take pictures with kids at a pumpkin patch. Mm-hmm. Right? We've done that.
We have.
It's fun. And, so we've had a terrible summer here in Texas. It's been hot, dry, just unbearable.
Every day was like 100, over 100.
Yeah, and we're not alone because other states have also had some really hot weather, but it's just been miserable. It's been a miserable summer. So heading into fall, so I thought it'd be nice to share 10 reasons why autumn and fall is one of the best seasons ever. Okay? So here's number one. We've already talked about this one, changing colors. So, of course, we see the color change. around this area, you see the leaves turning red and orange and yellow, and it's really pretty. Here in Texas, if you head to the hill country, like if you're going between like Dallas Fort Worth into Austin, especially if you take the scenic route, the back roads, oh man, all of that just turns. It does. Why do you look at me like that?
Because I'm like, when have you done that?
When we've traveled we've been through Austin in the fall. When we've gone camping, like when we've gone to Fredericksburg, we've gone camping in cooler weather in the fall. You don't remember, do you? I
just don't remember.
Well, we have. Okay. And I saw the colors, and it was pretty. But changing colors is beautiful. Now, obviously, in other parts of the U.S., you see these color changes even a lot more.
Yeah.
They're more common, right? Like New England, for instance, it's beautiful. Like the reds and the oranges are much more vibrant.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the color change probably lasts a little bit longer. Okay, so that's one. Number 2, you've already also mentioned this one, pumpkin everything. Pumpkin pie. Pumpkin scented candles.
Pumpkin spice lattes, pumpkin muffins, pumpkin cookies, pumpkin bread.
You should just open your own pumpkin store.
Well,
where everything is pumpkin.
It only works like through fall, I think.
Well, it's a seasonal.
Yeah.
A seasonal store. Uh-huh. But you're right. What is it about pumpkin that just is like such a fall thing?
Is it
because it's orange?
I don't know. I love pumpkin bread and pumpkin chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah. Because, you don't ever think of a pumpkin throughout the rest of the year. But once it's fall, it's like, oh, pumpkin is just everywhere. I don't know what it is about pumpkin that just seems to be associated with fall more than anything else.
I don't know. Maybe that's when they're more like in season.
Maybe, yeah.
Then it's like everywhere.
I guess I'm not a pumpkin farmer, so I don't know anything. So if anyone out there is a pumpkin farmer and would like to just, enlighten us, drop us a line. But everything is pumpkin in the fall. Delicious desserts is another thing.
Yeah. Well, that comes into pumpkin everything.
Yeah. Autumn is one of the best time of year for sweets. So if you have a sweet tooth, autumn is probably the best season for you if you have a sweet tooth, which I don't have a sweet tooth. That's not one of my things. That's your thing.
That's my downfall.
Oh, yeah. Sweet tooth for you is like your kryptonite.
It really is.
But yeah, so you have the caramel apples.
I'm not a big fan of caramel apples.
I'm not either.
It's just too much, I think. And I don't know why.
It's too much and it's too sticky.
Yeah, maybe that's why.
It gets stuck in my teeth. It's very uncomfortable.
Maybe if they were like in little bite sizes, and somebody did it for me.
Yeah.
Cut it up for me.
Cut it up for you. They actually do that now. In some places where you go get candy apples, like some of the gourmet shops, they actually cut it up for you.
Too much. I don't know.
Too sweet.
Yeah.
Pumpkin pie, pecan pie, apple pie. All these things are just part of. Oh, and then the pumpkin pie, of course, with whipped cream on it.
Yeah, for
Thanksgiving favorite.
Yeah.
Cooler weather obviously is very important. That's a big one. Just coming out of summer into fall is great to have that cool weather on your skin. You mentioned better fashion.
Mm-hmm. True story.
Fire pits.
Ooh, yeah. I didn't think about that. That's nice because then you can do more like when you're hosting people, you can sit outside by a fire pit. S'mores.
Mm-hmm. That's s'mores, right?
It's just nice.
We have our fire pit out here in the back.
No mosquitoes.
Oh my goodness, I would say
that's a great thing for fall. No mosquitoes.
Yeah, especially here in Texas. In our area, at least, we have a lot of mosquitoes.
Well, there wasn't a lot during the summer because it was so hot. But now that the weather's cooling down, they're like everywhere.
Oh, I can't wait to use that fire pit again. Arts and crafts. We're not very crafty people. Artsy, crafty people. But I guess people get into the arts and crafts because it's the holidays. You have the Thanksgiving and then the Christmas. Maybe. You actually do a little bit more craft. You get a little bit more crafty around this time of year.
Yeah, like when we're hosting some kind of like party or something, I do, yeah.
Yeah, more decorative.
Yeah, try to.
Yeah. Well, we have, my sister-in-law, of course, Kim. Shout out to Kim. She's a very crafty person.
Yes.
Not in the bad sense of crafty, like crafty. She's like
oh my gosh.
She's like a very talented, creative person. And then, of course, finally, the holidays is a thing to look forward to. Of course, Christmas, Thanksgiving. It's great. You have like starting November, it's like you already feel it. It's all in the air, and the stores are beginning to put out everything.
I think everybody's already putting stuff out now.
Yeah, probably.
We're only
September.
in August.
We're September.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
All right. So, as you move from summer to fall, 10 reasons to enjoy the fall, embrace it, and love it.
Yeah.
Right. Look forward to it. So, thank God we've made it this far. You got some questions for me. You said you're going to ask me some questions today.
Oh, this is what our podcast is going to be about.
Yeah. I have no idea what you're going to ask me.
These questions.
I have no idea what you're going to ask me.
No. So we're going to see.
It's a surprise.
How Jesse answers these questions and if he can.
If I can. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to answer these questions.
And if you don't agree or you have.
And I hope they're productive questions, Vanessa. I hope they're appropriate.
Different point of view. Go ahead and reach out and
let us know. Let us know Jesse doesn't know what he's talking about.
Okay.
This guy has no clue. Okay, all right. Number one. Let's see what's the question.
Let's see. Okay, yeah, I have 5 questions. So
this is going to be complete.
We'll see how in depth we go into these questions.
Okay, yeah.
And there's 5 that
I
have.
So are you going to participate in the answer, the response to the question after I give the initial response, or are you just going to kind of move on from question to question? I just need to know how this is going to go.
We'll kind of just see how it goes.
Play it by ear?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to wing it.
Like if I have something to say, I'll say it.
That's fine. We're going to wing this one.
If I need to add or,
If you need to correct me.
Okay.
Number one.
First question. Mm-hmm. How does one deal with temptation?
Wow. Well, I think first of all, temptation's everywhere, right? I mean, so everyone has to confront temptation at some point. I think part of it is being aware and recognizing that it is around us. We can't hide from it. And this is easier said than done, of course, right? But I'm just saying, like, okay, temptation's all around us, right? Temptation's all around us. First of all, we have to be aware of it. I think if you're a Christian, if you're a believer, you tend to be more sensitive to temptation, I guess, because it's like you recognize, when something's wrong.
Yeah, I was going to say from wrong.
Right.
Not to say that nobody else does, but I think that it's just.
Well, temptation is like a religious word.
Yeah.
It's kind of associated with religious, spiritual subjects, So I think, for a believer, I think temptation is something that we can't avoid, but we have to handle it somehow, right? Mm-hmm. And you're asking, so how do you deal with temptation? How do you handle temptation? Mm-hmm. Spiritually speaking, Scripture does say that we don't fight against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers in high places, right? So obviously temptation has to do has a supernatural aspect to it. Mm-hmm. And so understanding that temptation is a kind of a supernatural, thing, then you have to also meet it in a supernatural way. And so that means, we can't just try to outwit it, outsmart it. We can't try to, just ignore it or avoid it. I think you really have to reach out to God and say, Lord, I need help with this temptation. This temptation can be overpowering. This temptation, is very appealing or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And I think you really have to just be genuine and reach out to God and say, I really need help with this situation. I need help with this thought. I need help with this behavior. I need help with dealing with, whatever the temptation is. Because we can't do it alone. We can't do it alone, even though we want to. And I try to do it by myself, many, many times. And I think every time I try to do it on my own, I may have success sometimes when, it's like, Lord, just help me. And, we work it out, But there's other times where, you kind of feel like, yeah, I got this one, and then you end up falling flat on your face because you thought you could just, get away with it or whatever.
So I'm glad that you said that it is something that we can't do on our own. So also going, I guess along those same lines is, sometimes sharing with someone that you trust, who has like your best interest, who can help hold you accountable for those things. Yeah.
See, and that's hard for me.
And it's yes, that is very hard for you. So I'm saying, not only is just, depending on God, but He's given us people in our lives to help hold us accountable to. And he's placed certain people in our lives, you know, for those reasons or that season to help, you know.
Oh yeah, I agree. I'm terrible at that. You know, you know that very well.
I know that.
I'm terrible at, I guess, trusting people with certain things, right? Of course. And I think that does make temptation harder to deal with because you feel like you're kind of isolated. You're dealing with things on your own, right?
Yeah.
And then you start thinking also, I'm sure no one else deals with this. Why am I the only one?
Yeah.
Which makes it even harder, right? To, you know, to kind of deal with. So you're right. I mean, you have to have support.
And I think that it makes it easier to say, well, nobody knows. So if I fall, it's nobody knows.
Yeah.
So if you have someone who you trust to open up about these certain, you know, things, you know, that person, you know, hopefully is, you know, checking on you, you know, time after time. Not, you know, necessarily.
Not a nagging kind of way, right?
No, but just checking to see, you know, how have you been doing, you know, or, you know, just making you have also that person who prays for you.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
And you kind of know there's varying degrees of temptation. You know, there's a temptation for like a snack.
Right.
You know, or there's temptations for other more serious temptations, right? Vices and things like that. So, you know, there's varying degrees of temptation. Not every temptation requires, you know,
all of that.
Right? But each person knows what temptation is
well, because everyone has
everyone does. Everyone has that weakness.
Yeah, everyone has that weakness.
So I think,
and especially if you are walking close with God, you can believe that Satan is not going to just walk away from you.
Right, because I mean, the Bible does say he walks around like a roaring lion, seeking who can devour.
He knows your weakness, so he knows, you know, if he doesn't want you to have a relationship with God, he knows where to hit you.
Oh, yeah. And he won't hesitate.
No.
So I think recognize, pray, walk close to God, but also walk close to the people that are in your life that he's put there, so that you know to support and to help you along the way. And that's a harder one. But yes, you're right that you need those components. You know, when you're dealing with temptation, and kind of again the recognition that temptation is not something that you're going to try to outsmart or outwit or just do on your own. It requires some help.
Yes.
Goes against the grain of all of us, right? Because none of us want to ask for help. But anyway, okay.
All right. Okay.
All right.
I'll allow that answer.
Okay. Hold on. Go ahead, Vanessa. Wait. I need to find.
Are we?
Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry for the delay in that. It's been a while.
Had to toot my own horn there.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so maybe that was a temptation.
Good one.
All right, let's go on to the second question.
Okay, second.
How do I know if I'm saved?
How do I know if I'm saved? Man, you're asking some very deep questions. That's a very deep question. How do you know if you're saved? Well, the simplest way to put it is if you believe in Jesus, you believe in who he was, what he claimed, right? What he did, then you're saved. That's the simplest way to put it. That's how you know you're saved. If you genuinely have that relationship with Jesus and you truly believe in everything he did, who he claimed to be, right? Because a lot of people can say, oh yeah, Jesus was a good man, a good teacher, a good prophet, whatever, right? But he claimed to be more than that, right? He claimed to be God. He claimed to be able to forgive our sins, to cleanse us, to save us, right? So if you believe in him, you believe in what he stood for and what he accomplished and what he did for you personally, you're saved.
Okay, so let me ask you this question.
Okay.
What about the whole once saved, always saved? Because those people believe. So does it not require some kind of change in our lives?
Yeah, so the once saved, always saved seems like
because I believe in God.
Yeah.
And if I believe everything, like you just said, everything he's done,
I think you can.
I can continue to live my life the way I want.
Well, I mean, that's kind of impossible at that point, because if you truly accept Jesus into your life, and you know what he did for you, and you know that he died for your sins, and that it took a sacrifice to even allow you to have that freedom, right? Why would you want to continue to live a life that is voiding or nullifying his sacrifice?
Right.
Right.
Well, I totally agree with that.
So,
but, that would be a question that somebody would ask.
Yeah. Well, I would just say that. I would say, look, if you truly have that relationship with Jesus, and you know what he did for you, it's got to do something to you. It's got to change you, right? It's got to have some kind of impact in your life. And if you know that what he did is to free you from sin, because that's in essence what he did by dying for us, is to free us from sin, then why do we want to go back and live in sin? That would basically mean that, well, Jesus, I know what you did for me, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to live my life however I want. And I just don't think that's how relationships, even earthly relationships, work.
Yeah, you're right.
I think even in our earthly relationships, it's one of those things where, if you love someone and someone loves you, man, you put everything you can into that relationship. You even if you have your lows and you have your falls and there's problems, but if you love that person, you put it on the line and you keep going, right? So I think it's the same thing with God. I mean, once we're saved, we want to stay saved, but yeah, it's kind of up to us if we want that relationship or not. At any point in time, we can walk away.
Yeah.
Right? We can say, well, I don't need God right now. I don't need God in my life. Or maybe we feel like God's interfering with our own dreams and desires or whatever, and we walk away. I mean, he's not going to force us there.
Right.
He's not going to force us to stay there. He's not going to say, well, once you accept me, Vanessa, that's it. You can't walk away. You can't go anywhere. No, it's not how it works. Once we accept him, he says, okay, great. You're here. I love you. But if you ever walk away from me, well, you can walk away from me. That's what happened in Scripture, all throughout the Bible, right?
Right.
I mean, the whole Old Testament is filled with examples of God's people walking away from him time and time again. Even after he got them to the Promised Land, even after he got them, out of Egypt and got them through the desert and provided everything for them, they still walked away. So, yeah, the once saved, always saved doesn't really, if you really think about it, really deeply, it just doesn't hold up. It can't hold up.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Are you going to do it again? Are you going to do this for every question that you answer?
Yes, even if it's wrong.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go on to question number 3.
I get a participant ribbon.
That's all I have.
Even if I'm wrong.
Okay.
Okay, next.
Question number 3. How do I let go of my past sins and shame to have a deeper and closer relationship with God?
Did something happen to you this past week that you coming up with these questions?
I told you they were going to be tough questions.
Those are good questions. No, I know. In the recent weeks we've kind of talked about these things, right, a lot. So, okay, what was the question again?
So how do I let go of my past sins and shame to have a deeper and closer relationship with God?
How do you let go of past sins or mistakes?
Yeah, or mistakes and the shame that comes with it.
That is hard. I think that because of our human nature and the way we tend to kind of handle things, I think we'll always have a sense of shame, remorse, especially when we've done things that we're not proud of. Most people, I mean, I know there's people that probably don't care, right? But for the people that do care, I mean, you're always going to kind of have that sense of shame and remorse about your past. And,
go ahead.
I'll say even day to day as you struggle with things, you still kind of have that sense of defeat, right? And we kind of struggle with that. I mean, because that's our human side, that we know we're weak. We know that we fall easily. We know that we're not always in tune with God, and so there's a lot of negative feelings that come along with just our human nature, because we always fall short, especially when we know what God's standards are, that they're up here, and we know, right, that we're way down here. We just don't feel good about it, right? So I think, can we truly let go of it ourselves? No. Can we focus on something else? Yes. And I think that when we have God in our lives and we have Jesus in our lives, he gives us his word, right? Which helps us concentrate and focus on what really matters. In his word, we have 66 books in the Bible. There's a lot of information, in that book. And there's a lot to concentrate and to think about. And I know you've probably experienced this before. When you read a chapter or you're reading a passage, you learn what you can from it. Maybe a few months down the line, you come back to it again. You're like, oh, I learned something else about that passage that I hadn't seen before. So there's always something to learn. I mean, I don't think we can always completely wrap our heads around Scripture. And so I think the way God meant for that word to be there, to be a focal point for us, to raise our hopes, to give us something to look forward to, because I think he knows in this life we're gonna. I think if we didn't have that, we'd be down the majority of the time.
Well, the other thing that I want to add to that is that if you think about all the stories in the Bible, think about all the people who are like main characters in the Bible. Think about their lives. Were any of them perfect? Were any of them without fault?
Yeah, no.
I mean, you had adulterers, you had murderers, you had
thieves, liars.
Yeah. I mean, you had all of these people, and yet God still used them. So if that doesn't give you hope that, he can still use you, or you can be shame-free of those things, I mean, I don't know what else God can do then, like to prove and show to you. Like, he's showing us in the Bible, like, look, all these people that we know all these like Bible stories from, they all had problems. They all had issues. They all dealt with temptation. They all made mistakes and had major sins. But I was still willing to come here and die for them so that they can be saved and they can be with me forever. And you have, I mean, you're going to see those same people up in heaven with those characters, and I'm sure it wasn't easy for them to always look past the things that they had done in the past, but when you ask God for forgiveness, he forgets it.
Yeah.
And he lets it go. And I think focusing on that should help you leave that shame.
Yeah.
At his feet.
Yeah, and sometimes the struggle is also that your past mistakes still have present consequences,
Yes.
And so that sometimes is a discouragement too, because you're reminded. I think about David, for instance, right? I mean, think about the sin with Bathsheba, right? And everything that happened after that in David's life was complicated. I mean, he, even within his own family, there was problems, like serious problems.
Yes.
There was incest and rape and, betrayal and all kinds of stuff. I mean, there was some serious dysfunctional issues. So I think for David, even, it was kind of maybe some of those things could have been reminders of how sinful of a person he was, or maybe not a good father, or maybe, all his shortcomings. He was a warrior, but at the same time, his family had a lot of problems, right? He had a lot of problems, right? So I think he suffered a lot, but in the end, it all came down to his relationship with God. And no matter what was happening in his life, I believe he always tried to shift his attention to what God had done in his life, what God had promised. And I think a lot of times maybe he didn't even see the full fulfillment of the promises, but he trusted them. He trusted them, and he loved God with all his heart, and I think he constantly had that prayer, create a new heart in me, or renew a new heart in me. Was it? And create a new spirit, renew a right spirit within me and create a new heart. Right. Yeah. Paraphrasing it. But yeah, so I think his constant prayer was renew me in some way, because I know that every day I'm reminded, every day I struggle, every day, but renew in me each day the right spirit, put a right spirit within me, create a clean heart in me, So can we completely shake off our shame and our guilt and our remorse and our past mistakes and even maybe the ongoing consequences of our mistakes? No, but we certainly have the ability through God, right, and his word to shift our focus and shift our attention away from those things, and God will strengthen us. He strengthens our mind, and I believe he strengthens our thoughts. He strengthens our hearts. He gives us courage. He gives us wisdom to continue, right? Otherwise, we'd fail. Otherwise, we would just be so demoralized, we wouldn't even know what to do with our lives.
Yeah.
So. Okay. Thank you. Oh, this is such a kind crowd today. Thank you. Oh, what a lovely audience.
Yeah, especially when you push the button yourself.
There's no buttons. No one can see that.
Yeah, this is a live.
No one knows.
This is a live podcast, people.
No one knows.
Okay. Are you ready for question number 4?
Sure.
Okay. So who are the top most influential people who have helped you in your spiritual life, and why?
Oh, my gosh, Vanessa.
You told me to bring it, so I brought
it. Okay. Well, number 1 is you. I put you at the top of the list. And I think I told you this the other day. I said, I have seen you, of all the people in my life, right? And even the ones closest to me, you are an example of ongoing spiritual growth and conversion that I can think of. And maybe because I see you every day, of course, too, right? But I can honestly say that in your example and the way that you have done things over the course of our marriage together, and even up to recently, and you continue to do, is that I can see in you a true example of living faith and conversion. That's something that for me, we think about it in terms of a concept of conversion, right? In our, in church and what we learn in the Bible and Bible class and whatnot. We learned the concept, right, of conversion. But to really be with someone and to see the change and to see the growth, and to see how your faith has played out in your life and how it has affected me and our marriage and in our parenting and everything, So I say number 1, you're up there because you're an ongoing living example of faith, growth, and conversion. Okay?
Okay. I paid him to say that, guys. He wants that ribbon.
Okay. Now, a couple of other people have played a really important role that I can think of, and there's only probably less than a handful of people that I can really say have been really defining, have been there in defining moments of my life. Mm-hmm. So when I was a youth leader, back when I was in college, in my young days, and I was a youth leader at Fort Worth First, there was a pastor that came on board. He was a associate pastor, I believe, at the time, or student. No, he was associate pastor, I think. Anyway, he would help me out with class, because I would be the main teacher, and then he'd come in and kind of be the support, and sometimes teach as well. But he was a mentor. I remember one of the things he told me. His name was Ben Orion. And I remember one of the first things he taught me, because I was really young, and I was teaching other youth. It's not like these people were
way younger
than me or much older than me, right? And so one of the things I remember him telling me is that, don't be afraid to, set the expectations. Don't be afraid to lead this group. Don't be afraid to be a leader, set the rules, set some order. I think he was trying to just kind of mentor me, to kind of mold me into, don't be afraid to use your faith and use your beliefs and set things in order here, okay? Because these are your peers, and you're going to feel like, you just got to be buddy, friends, and whatever, which was okay, which is good, right? But there was also, he was kind of encouraging me to be a leader as well, and to not get too caught up in just the friendship part, but you're there to be an example for these kids. So that really stuck with me. And so that was one person that early on kind of affirmed me, right? To kind of, be that leader, in your group, in your sphere. So that's one. Does it have to be people? Because when I was also, and I'll tell you another, when I was in high school, the last 2 years of high school, I had to go to a public school because the academy, the Adventist academy that I was going to, only went up to 10th grade. So going from 10th grade into 11th grade was a transition from going to private school to public school, a big public school for that matter. And I was scared. I was scared out of my mind because I spent the last 10 years in in a small little private school. So I was scared. But, during that time, during those 2 years, very defining for me, because I had to kind of establish that identity. I was different. Because I could have gone into that public school and just been like everyone else, right? But I had some convictions at that time in my life that said, no, I've got to stick to what I believe. So there were many times when they would approach me to play sports or to run or to participate in something academically even, and say, hey, we're going to do this. Would you like to be a part of it? But it's going to be on Sabbath. For the first time, I have to stand up, right? I got to say something, because at the private school, an Adventist private school, that never happened, right? So that was a very defining time also for me. So I had to really learn to for the first time, stand up for my beliefs and stand up for what I was convicted of. And I felt a strong conviction that I need to kind of keep this identity. Okay, so that was, those 2 years wasn't a person, right? But it was a situation.
Okay, that'll work.
Okay, so that, and then of course the one I just told you, and then the other person that I think really helped me out was Costin Jordash, and you remember Costin, and his wife Leah. Those two people were very influential in my life, just because at that point when I was hanging around them, I was kind of maturing more, and I think at that point in my life I was also going through a lot of other things, personal things in my life, and but those are two people that were just very ambitious people. And they were ambitious in the sense that they were very what's the word I'm looking for? They just wanted, just by their talent and by their skills and their presence and the way they live their faith, is like you just want to be like them. So it always gave me something to try to kind of push myself towards, and I don't know if they ever knew this or not. This is just me kind of reflecting back. But those two individuals, Leah and Costin, were very influential. We became good friends. We shared a lot of experiences for sure together, and then of course they had to move away from this area. So those two. And then I'll give you one more.
Okay.
How many is that already?
1, 2.
I think it's 4, right?
I think that's already.
Okay, well.
Okay, it doesn't matter.
Whatever. This is the last one.
I didn't give you a specific number, so.
Now this person was not even a religious person. As a matter of fact, this person was an atheist. And I mean a pretty hardcore atheist. And this was when I was doing my master's degree, when I was in the School of Social Work at University of Texas in Arlington. And I had to do my practice, my field work, my internship or whatever. And I chose to do it at a counseling center. And there was a couple there, older, much older. And my supervisor's name was Dick Brockman. And so he was very secular minded. There was nothing. He wasn't doing faith-based counseling. He wasn't doing, But his approach was what we call in the field of therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy. He specifically did something called REBT, which is rational emotive behavior therapy. And the reason why this person was very influential at that time for me was because even though he was secular, even though he wasn't religious and was an atheist himself, self-proclaimed atheist, but he taught me the importance of belief. Because
that's interesting.
Because he said, everything you do, every decision you make, every behavior, every emotion that you feel, behind it is a thought process. And that thought process is steeped in a belief of some sort. Either a belief about yourself, a belief about the world around you, or a belief about other people. Mm-hmm. You know, so that struck a serious chord with me, right? Because I began to think, well, if that's true, then my beliefs must mean something. My spiritual beliefs must have meaning, must have purpose, right? If it's true what he says, then my spiritual beliefs should lead me to, number one, have emotional health, right? And number two, have behavior that is healthy behavior, right? So that experience with him and him teaching me how to examine my beliefs, my thoughts, I think at that point where I was in life, you know, a college, you know, post-grad student, still kind of intellectually growing and learning, and to learn that from him, I think made a big impact in how I treated my spiritual life.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
Yeah,
I never thought of it like that.
Yeah, so from that point, it kind of defined that, okay, I really want these beliefs in my life. Like, no matter what, these beliefs are going to stay with me, and I know at some point they're going to lead to something good in my life. So it was just ironic, right, that he was very secular and atheistic and didn't believe in religion, but yet what he was teaching was actually reaffirming the things in my spiritual life that I needed.
Yeah. Wow. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it was very, very crazy. So, like I said, I remember these individuals, and I remember these situations because there was something to learn there that was kind of a life lesson, a lifelong lesson. So that's why I kind of remember, you know, these individuals, and of course, you know, not that I remember you because you're here every day, but you know, again, you know, you have those. You know, with you, it's kind of, you're kind of like all the things that I've learned, it's all culminating in our relationship. Mm-hmm. All the things that I've been through and experiences that I've had, it's like culminating in our relationship between you and I. Okay? Mm-hmm. I don't know, I can't explain it, but I just feel like because of those experiences, I feel like you and I have grown so much more together. Mm-hmm. Because things have happened to us where it's like, you know, would have fallen apart a long time ago.
Yes.
So anyway.
Okay. All right, Jesse, way to answer.
I'm not going to toot my horn on that one.
Okay. Why not?
Because it was not about me. It's about these people.
Oh. Okay, that makes sense. All right. Here's the last question.
Last one.
Yes.
Man, I'm sweating.
You told me to come up with 5 questions.
That's fine. I like it. I mean, it's thought provoking.
Okay. Last question. Who's smarter and wiser, you or your wife?
That's a trick question. Of course, me. No, I mean,
just have one lighthearted one.
Oh man, no, I would honestly say that you're wiser. I know that you'll disagree with me. And I'm not just saying that.
Just wiser, not smarter?
I think I'm smarter, but you're wiser.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
No,
this was our last podcast. People.
This is it. Goodbye. We'll never do another podcast again. No, I mean.
I'm just kidding. It's okay.
You are wise and you're very smart. And I think in areas that I lack, and the areas where I feel like I am weaker or not as good or just not as much a thinker, you definitely fill all those voids in. And I think as far as wisdom goes, you are wise. You are wiser. Because, I mean, like I said, I think that your growth here, over time has just shown that you're full of wisdom. It's just shown
That's
that
why I have so much white hair.
Yeah. And I think part of that is probably my fault that you're becoming wiser. You've been forced into situations where you have to use wisdom. There's no other way around it, right? But no, you're definitely wise. I mean, do I think I'm wise and smart? Yeah, I mean, I think I'm wise and smart. But I think also that wisdom doesn't originate with us. Intelligence can. Mm-hmm. We can study and be knowledgeable and have an increase in intelligence, right? And we can feel like intelligent because I learned so much. But when it comes to wisdom, I think wisdom is more than just intelligence. There's a lot of smart people out there that do a lot of unwise things. Right. So wisdom, and if we revisit the scripture, says that, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Mm-hmm. So wisdom really originates from God. And wisdom is not just intelligence. It goes far beyond that. It's also insight. It's the ability to look beyond our circumstances or beyond what's in front of us.
Right.
Okay. And that's where God plays a role because he knows all. He knows everything behind the scenes. He knows how everything works, right? Mm-hmm. And he chooses to reveal those things to us by insight. And I think that's where that's God's realm. God's realm is wisdom working. He knows the things that we don't know. And sometimes he chooses to reveal that to us. Mm-hmm. And then when we act on it, people might say, well, that was insightful, right? It's like, why did you even think about that? Well, it's not that we thought about it, but God put it in our minds in that moment to say, hey, there's something more to the situation than that. And I think that's wisdom. So I think we both have that wisdom because of our faith, not because of anything that we've done, not because of anything that we're doing, but because, we try to hang on to our faith day by day, and God always tries to put it in our minds, to have more insight, to have more wisdom, because without it, forget it. I mean, intelligence alone can't get you through this life.
Right. I
So
totally agree.
I don't know if I answered your question, but you, of course, not me.
Well, that was supposed to be
I'll take the back seat on this one.
Light hand,
I thought that was a trick question.
No, I just thought it would be pretty funny.
That could have killed our podcast forever right there.
There was no correct answer for that, Jesse. It was just supposed to be all in fun.
Oh, yeah. There's always a wrong answer, Vanessa. Okay, there's always a wrong answer.
We'll talk about it after.
You know that whole thing that teachers say, there's never a wrong answer. Yes, there is. There is a wrong answer. Some teachers say there's never a dumb answer. Yeah, there is. There is a dumb answer. You don't want to point it out, but there is.
Oh, wow. And that's why he is not a teacher.
I mean, you don't say it, but I mean, I know what teachers are trying to say, but
I know.
It's like, there are wrong answers, and not every answer is right. And if you're wrong, okay, you're wrong. But anyway, that's just whatever.
Okay. Well, good job on answering all those tough questions. I told you I need
a shower. I sweat so much.
I asked you, I said, are you sure you don't want to just have me run through them at the beginning of the podcast? And then you're like, nope.
Yeah, no, that's good. Because see, if I don't know, I just want to say I don't know.
Oh, well, you didn't do that.
I don't want to try to make up. Yeah. So, I mean, if I don't know, I don't know. I just try to answer the question. Are they all right? I mean, I don't know, but other people might have other opinions. That's okay. But this is my answer. These are my answers.
Yeah. Well, these questions were for you to answer.
And to share.
Yes, and to share.
To share with everyone. Thank you. That was very good.
Yay. Clap.
Oh. Good job, Vanessa. That was very good. I enjoyed that. We'll probably have to do this a lot more often then, huh?
Yeah. I kind of like this.
Yeah, I like this kind of format. And again, if anyone out there that's listening wants to ask a question, feel free. Send in the question, haystacknation@gmail.com. Just send us the question and we'll add it to our list.
Yes.
And we'll answer it.
Make Jesse sweat a little bit more.
Oh, yeah. No kidding. Good thing I'm wearing deodorant. All right, Vanessa. Well, good job. I think I learned a lot.
Yeah.
I hope you did too.
I did.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah. I hope the people that listen learn
I hope
something.
they enjoyed this podcast.
I hope so.
It was a little different, but I liked it.
Yeah. We'll do that again next time. Join us back here next time.
Let us know if you liked it.
Let us know if you liked it. Post it on the comments. We'll see you guys here back next time on Haystack Nation. God bless.